Tokyo, Japan woke on Sunday morning to flooded rivers and burst levees, as emergency workers used helicopters and boats to rescue stranded residents from their homes in the wake of Typhoon Hagibis, the largest storm to hit the country in decades. Rain began falling on Saturday and continued through Sunday morning, testing dams, pulling down hillsides, destroying roads and bridges, and driving rivers over their banks. How many people are affected? Anticipating extensive damage, the authorities urged nearly 6 million people to evacuate. Rescue services jumped into action early in the morning, with helicopters plucking stranded people from balconies and roofs. At least 35 people were killed, with 15 people reported missing and at least 100 injured, according to the Kyodo News Agency. Deaths were expected to mount as swollen rivers rushed through flooded neighborhoods. Typhoon Hagibis in photos. October 12, 2019. More than 370,000 households were without power, and at least 15,000 homes were without water, Yoshihide Suga, Japan's chief cabinet secretary, told reporters, adding that the country was taking every measure to recover. At least 2 deaths and several landslides occurred before the typhoon made landfall, and a 5.7 magnitude earthquake shook Chiba, east of Tokyo, on Saturday evening just before the storm hit. Unlock more free articles. Create an account or log in. What areas were hit hardest? At least 142 rivers flooded, NHK said, after record-breaking rains. In Nagano Prefecture, northwest of Tokyo, a levee burst on the Chikuma River, flooding a wide area of Nagano City. Levees on 21 rivers across the flood zone collapsed, according to NHK and information provided by local governments. At least 27,000 rescue workers raced to evacuate people from the flood zones, where water reached up to buildings' second stories and strong currents swept through the streets. NHK showed images of an effort to rescue hundreds of people stranded at an elder care center in Saitama, a suburban area north of Tokyo. Television announcers urged people trapped in their homes to put up pieces of fabric as a signal to rescuers. Editor's picks. James Comey would like to help. Saturday Night Live gives Julian Castro his moment. This is an Indian house, according to one architect. Imogen embankment of the Chikuma River broke in Nagano Prefecture, inundating homes and flooding streets. An embankment of the Chikuma River broke in Nagano Prefecture, inundating homes and flooding streets. Credit Yahei Kanasashi/Kyodo News, via Associated Press. Was the nuclear reactor at Fukushima struck? In Fukushima Prefecture, where a huge earthquake and tsunami caused the Daiki nuclear power plant to melt down in 2011, a burst levee flooded the banks of the Abukuma River after heavy rains. Separately, Tokyo Electric Power said it was inspecting the nuclear plant for damage from the heavy rains. In the city of Tamura, floodwaters displaced huge bags containing contaminated waste gathered during the cleanup of areas around the Fukushima Daiki nuclear plant, Kyodo News reported. A river washed away an unknown number of the bags, which were in a temporary storage area, it said. Russia. Detail. Area. Japan. Japan. Prefectures hardest hit by storm. Tamura. Fukushima. Nagano. Saitama. Nagano. Tokyo. Ichihara. Chiba. Ito. Shizuoka. Storm made. Landfall. 25 miles. By the New York Times. The contents of the bags, which hold up to 1.3 tons, were unclear, but they are most likely filled with irradiated topsoil and other refuse from the cleanup that followed the meltdown. 10 of the bags were recovered undamaged, Kyodo News said, and the authorities are cataloging the remaining ones to see how many were still missing. How does Hagibis compare to previous storms? After a day of heavy rains, the storm made landfall around 7 p.m. Saturday local time, in the resort town of Ito, southwest of Tokyo. It struck the capital directly, lashing the surrounding areas with heavy rains and winds of up to 130 miles per hour, before moving north. The authorities had expected Hagibis to rival the Kanagawa Typhoon of 1958, which killed more than 1,200 people in Shizuoka Prefecture and the Tokyo region. Days before the storm hit, officials were urging people to get ready to evacuate. On Saturday, the authorities issued a rare highest-level warning of extreme rain in 12 prefectures, including Saitama and Shizuoka, advising residents to evacuate or move to higher floors in the nearest sturdy building in order to avoid imminent danger. All the alerts had been lifted by Sunday morning. Trains, flights, and some Rugby World Cup matches were cancelled. On Saturday, the authorities cancelled flights across the country. Japan Railways suspended service in the Tokyo region, and bullet trains between Tokyo and Osaka were suspended. Rugby World Cup organizers cancelled 2 matches on Saturday and a third match on Sunday. Businesses, grocery stores, restaurants, and the country's 24-hour convenience stores, which almost never shut their doors, closed en masse, leaving the normally bustling streets of Tokyo's busiest neighborhoods largely empty. Some businesses planned to remain closed on Sunday as road closings across the country's central and northern regions disrupted deliveries. Some flights and trains had resumed service on Sunday morning. But many Japan Railways routes continued to be suspended as operators assessed the damage, the company said. Images from NHK showed a number of bullet trains submerged up to their windows. Hagibis followed another strong typhoon, Faxai, which hit Japan last month, causing heavy damage in Chiba Prefecture. How are residents coping? In Chiba, residents just recovering from Faxai were hit by a tornado and earthquake, on top of the super typhoon. In Ichihara City, debris caused by Hagibis piled up next to refuse from the previous storm. Haituata, a 62-year-old farmer, surveyed the ruins of his crops. The tornado that accompanied the storm had ripped the roof off a nearby house and dragged it across his fields, uprooting tomatoes, bell peppers and eggplants. The devastation is huge, especially because it's the second natural disaster in a short time, he said. Just when I thought everyone in the neighborhood was recovered from the last typhoon, a tornado comes along. Nearby, the retiree Teruo Ao, 80, put on a brave face as he stood next to his home, where the tornado had shredded part of his roof and a second-floor balcony, and left a twisted pile of metal in the garden. I'm just glad my family was safe and unhurt, he said. In Saitama, the Okawa River was swollen with muddy water on Sunday morning. Some neighborhoods near the riverbanks had flooded and nearby residents walked or rode bikes to view the flooding. One street in Sakaguchi Akeo was impassable but had a pristine view of Mount Fuji in the distance under a clear blue sky. Kenichi Nakajima, 58, a farmer, had driven over a bridge to see the flooding close to a friend's house. They can't get out of their houses, it's such a pity, he said. We don't have supermarkets around here. We have to go far to a big supermarket. But without a car, we can't go shopping as the cars are flooded. The scale of the damage was abnormal, Mr. Nakajima said, suggesting global warming was responsible. Recently, a girl made a speech about global warming, and as she was crying she said, "We have no future," he said, referring to the climate activist Greta Thunberg. She is absolutely right.
Climate change is the oldest word in the dictionary, guys. It really is. I'm laughing because that's the oldest word in the dictionary. And I don't believe everything that I hear coming out of Fukushima, because half of that stuff anymore is, well, let's put it this way. Right after Fukushima happened, my daughter moved to Okinawa, which is 1,100 miles away. Their radiation level there was lower than it was in the United States at the time. And that's including Dutch's trip around the United States. It was lower there than in any place that he checked on his things in the United States. Which wasn't high either, which was supposed to be extravagant. I'm supposed to have been really, really high here. Never made that. But I just wanted to bring that up. My daughter lived there for 4 years during the worst part of the meltdown. And she, my son-in-law, and my grandson at that time is just fine. And now I have another grandson and a granddaughter from the same mom and the same father. So, in my opinion about the Fukushima meltdown, I believe all of that was bullshit. Sorry. I really do believe it was bullshit. Not to say that what they had didn't happen. I'm just saying they didn't have the cores in the tanks like they said, and it had a complete meltdown. Because if it had there'd have been a lot of people die over there that didn't die. And nobody in the United States got nuclear waste, and the sea didn't die. Even though that big map that they showed everybody and how it was spreading and all, that was all bullshit too. Somebody come up with some little program to make that and showed it how it was traveling with the speed and this, that, and another. And in my opinion, again, in my opinion, and I'm going to state it, it was bullshit. The graph was bullshit, straight up. If it hadn't been for my daughter over there, I would have probably bought the whole story, hook, line, and sinker, and I'd have been following some of them trails some of them other people did. But once I found that out, and I was talking to my daughter every weekend, we talked about it. We were doing FaceTime. She was showing me. There's even a typhoon that come through there, like the one that just happened, where they were at Okinawa, and we were transmitting back and forth as long as they had lights and electricity, which wasn't that bad of a storm, but still, we were transmitting live with a live stream back then. I don't know if we had a live stream. No, it was videos. It had to be videos. Those videos are gone because they're on the other channel. But we were actually doing video, and I was recording him and her talking to me during the storm for the 2 days prior to coming in, and during the storm as much as we could talk. And I was recording it live. It wasn't a live stream because they didn't have live streams yet. But the fact of the matter is that's what we were doing. That's what was going on. And I saw y'all talking about Fukushima, so I looked it up myself, and I replayed you the whole thing. I even talking about Fukushima, and then they come out with at the very end this little girl crying about climate change and saying we're killing our planet and all this, that, and another. If that's the case, if we're killing our planet, they need to turn off all electricity, get rid of all frequency, and stop the earthquakes from happening, and then they might have a chance to save the planet. But otherwise, I ain't going to save nothing. All I'm going to do is put carbon tax on you, which has nothing to do with it, because one earthquake, or not one volcano goes off. It puts off more carbon than every human and every car on the planet. So their carbon bullshit is bullshit. That is what's causing no damn climate change or no melting of ice. That does that every year anyway. They just using that to make money off water and carbon. That's all it is. So with that, I rest my cage. Much love. And I'm going to make this a video for y'all, and you can go back and watch it for yourself. So much love. Have a great day. Now you hear? And from my cold dead hands, and I damn well mean it, abolish corporate greed for your freedoms. And that's all it is. That was corporate greed. And what we're facing now with all of the other stuff that we're having with all of the search engines and YouTube engines and the Facebook and the Twitter, it's all the same thing. Corporate greed. They want their way, and they want to control you fully, 100%. No doubt. Bring it to you in your face, give it to you, and say, hey, stick your head in the sand, stick your ass up, and let's have a little poke. That's all they want. So much love. Y'all have a great day now here.